among others, Bibi from the value chain team. They're just going to come and say hi to all of you. This is very informal, as you can see. That's Dawe, community manager. And that's Joe, online communications. And I am myself Miguel Ballester, product manager at Fairphone, which means I work with a lot of different teams here to try to put things together. So why do we do this today? We are trying to find ways to connect with all you. You're all spread over Europe and the world. And as much as we would like to receive you all in our office, that's a little bit challenging. So at this time, it's now 7:05 in Amsterdam. There might be even some people following us from Asia. There's part of our team there. So to them, I'm going to say good evening. And also there might be some people in America also following us, to whom I'm going to say good morning. So as I was saying, we are testing this new format. We'll keep it a bit informal for today. We thought it was a good way for you to ask all those questions that you have, to see our faces, to see a little bit of our office, even though it's only a wall for now. Also, what is interesting is that you will be able to read the questions of other people. It might be even the first time that you follow one of these webinars on YouTube, the first time that you get in our forum. So it's a little bit all new tools that you can use also to communicate with us. This is the first webinar. If this goes well, and we are very happy to receive all your comments about the format as well, we might be using this format also for other topics in the future, together with our colleagues. So today I am the guinea pig. I'm the first one to do this. I'm very happy to do so. We have a little bit of lagging in the video, so I would say start shooting your questions. I'll still give a little bit of an introduction to Fairphone 2, but there is some time so that we can compile your we can compile your questions that we can answer later. How can you ask your questions? You can ask your questions here on the left. You probably see it on this side of your screen. There is a function to send us questions. You can also tweet using the hashtag #WeAreFairphone, and I got a very nice board here to show you our hashtag. So that's #WeAreFairphone at Twitter. And as I said, you can also just follow the forum link that it's under this video. About the type of questions, of course, you can ask any question, but I might not know everything. And on purpose, and to keep it a bit fresh and natural, we haven't prepared too much. So if we cannot answer your questions at this point of time, then we'll put them on the forum and we'll get back to you with a detailed question as soon as detailed answer as soon as possible. So what's on today? I would say, they allowed me to choose for the topic, so I want to talk about Fairphone 2, of course, because we are just about to start delivering. Actually, we are very happy to say that the first phones got to Amsterdam yesterday. So after a little bit, some things that we need to do, we'll start shipping them on Monday, 21st of December. So depending on your order number, you will be getting it either very soon or in January, but we expect within January to be able to have shipped all the phones from the pre-sales period, so that's nice. So let me introduce you a little bit about to Fairphone 2. So you've probably seen it in our websites. There's a lot of information there also. What is Fairphone 2 and how it's different and how it takes us one step further in our journey to fair electronics. As you know, with Fairphone 1, we licensed the design and we did a lot of our projects and efforts in the supply chain. So with our projects on the Worker Welfare Fund, for instance, or the sourcing of conflict-free tin and tantalum. With Fairphone 2, we really tried to tackle other ethical questions that have to do with the design, with the very design of the product. The main thing that we try to tackle with Fairphone 2 is the question on longevity, the question of how can we keep our phones as long as possible. That's a question that has a lot of influencers and a lot of things that need to be taken into account. But things first. First things first, we designed the phone to be more resistant and long-lasting. So some of the things that we did, we integrated, this is a very nice transparent case. We have other colors on the web shop. What we did is integrate the case on the design of the phone. So it has a little rubber rim around, which is a bumper meant for, to resist those falls that we all encounter because we are humans, I guess. This case is very simple to remove. So this is just how you remove the case. And this is the inside of the phone. And what you see is that we also have like a replaceable battery that you can take off really easily. But not only that, and I would say like the really amazing thing about this phone is that you can change your screen, I would say, in less than 10 seconds. Let me try if I can do it in 10 seconds. So there's two very easy to operate clips on the bottom of the phone. And then with a magic move, you can just remove your screen. So that's very handy for when we drop our phone so hard that not even a rubber rim can stop from the screen from cracking. So you would be able to get these screens from our web shop and just replace them very easily. Not only that, we also have different modules inside the phone. The top module, the camera module, and the bottom module that are very easy to take off with a simple screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver. I'm sure most of you have one at home. And if you don't have one, you can get one at a web shop from our partners, iFixit, for instance, or just around the corner. I'm sure around the corner of your house, you can get one of these very simple screwdrivers. So as I take the first question, I'll start unscrewing one of the modules so that you see. I'm going to remove, to take off a bit my computer so that you can see it. So we've been collecting some of your questions from the forum and questions that you've been sending to our customer support as well. And there is one very big question that we keep on getting, which is, and in this case I have to thank Paul Kreuzer forum, who asked, will it be possible to have a Fairphone OS without Google, or will living without Google just be possible with a stock Android? Probably most of you know that this has been one of our objectives also, to give more ownership and freedom on software. Also because we believe that if we give more options on the software, it's also a very good way to increase the lifespan of the product. So the short answer is yes. The bit longer answer is not yet ready. We are really close, so I think within a couple of weeks we will be able to publish all the source code and the build environment for the software of Fairphone 2 with instructions on how to do it. So eventually you will be able to change the software on your phone and, for instance, have a stock Android without any other third-party proprietary software on it, and you will be able to decide what kind of software you want to put on it, or what kind of apps, better said. More on that, and I'm sure somebody will ask this as well later, but we've been providing other open source operating systems, or the communities of other open source operating systems with phones from the prototype run, so that they could start playing around and trying to port their software into our hardware platform. So we announced already some weeks back about Sailfish OS from our friends from Yola, but you can imagine that others like Ubuntu or Firefox will come later. This is work in progress, so it's not yet ready, but it's definitely one of our objectives. So we have another question from Alison on the forum. I'm here reading, no secret, I'm reading from my computer. So Dawe is giving me some of the questions that you have. By the way, I already removed the camera, so you see it's very easy. I did it while talking, so as you can see, anybody could do it. So the question of Alison in the forum was, and it's a very important one, will you release a new set of phones when Fairphone's vision is to be replacing parts to make it last? Sub question, what happens to the first version of the Fairphone? will you continually release new version of Fairphones? I think it's a very important question. We get a lot asked why developing Fairphone 2 instead of keeping Fairphone 1, for instance. We think for Fairphone 2, the answer is it's more obvious. We really wanted to rethink the architecture, the hardware architecture of the phone to be able to get also to our longevity objectives. What's coming in the next years is a bit uncertain, as you can imagine. We are also here a small company, 45 people, and not everything is written on stone yet. But indeed, so now we have a very good, stable hardware platform that is done for repairability, to keep it updated as long as possible. It's always difficult to give an amount of years. What we always say and try to people to understand is that we try in Fairphone is to bring the ecosystem on the product that makes that longevity, that long-lasting phone possible. And that's not only on the design of the hardware itself, but it's also on things like providing spare parts as long as possible, or also doing the projects that we are doing in software to also create that longevity on software. So I'm sorry, I don't have a real answer to what's next after Fairphone 2. We know that we want to keep this phone for as long as possible, but we also know already that there are even new innovations that will come in the future that will allow us to keep phones that keep redeveloping phones that are longer lasting as we go. So let me see, what's next question? So I think there's also a question about what about the Google free version? Well, what I said already with the of the code, which we are going to do quite soon, that will be possible. So it will be possible for you to have a stock Android, so without other Google apps, if you want. So that's coming really soon. I think it's important to say here that we'll start with a phase where we're going to make it available for advanced users, so people that know a little bit how to play around with hardware and software. But it is definitely in our objectives to also make it in the a bit midterm also easier to people like me, for instance, that don't know a lot about software, but we believe in another way of doing software as well. So we would like to have that that ownership and that freedom, I would say. So let me see, another question. That question was, by the way, by ddent77 from YouTube. And the next question came from the YouTube chat from Bert van den Boert. Can Fairphone 1 have the same improvements like a rubber case? So we did develop a case in the past. So that was the black and blue case that we had for Fairphone. Unfortunately, we are not producing it anymore for many different reasons. So I would say to this question, I welcome anybody that can help out here as well. If there are companies out there that would like to develop like a rubber case for Fairphone 1, we are always very welcome to receive your proposals. But for now, we will not be able to develop anything else than the 3D printed cases, for instance. So if we think about 3D printing, which is it's a harder material, normally it's PLA, we could be thinking on redeveloping that case and bring more possibilities. There is a wealth of possibilities now in our web shop for Fairphone 1 in terms of 3D printed cases. But cases that need to be molded, which startup costs are really high, and where you need like high volumes as well to be able to produce them, then I think that route is kind of closed. But definitely, if we can do much more on 3D printed cases, we are very willing to hear what you have to say, and we'll try to accommodate those wishes. So we have another question from Vincent Lee, YouTube. Okay, and that's a technical one. Will the Fairphone 2 be compatible with Qualcomm Quick Charge technology? What I've heard is that it's not compatible by now. So I think that's the only thing I can say. We can take this question and get back to you with further information, but what I know is that at launch, this is not a possibility for now. Another question from Mario Buenaventura from the forum. Okay, my order is between the 8,000 and 10,000 first phones. May you give me an approximate date of the arrival of my Fairphone? End of December, beginning of January. I think I can tell you it's going to be beginning of January. So as I said in the introduction, from all the pre-sales phones, or all the phones that we have sold in the pre-sales period, which is now around 22,000, will be able to be delivered. The latest will be end of January. In your case, because it's between 8,000 and 10,000, it will be a bit earlier in January, but I cannot give you a specific date. If you contact us when we are closer to that number, we can probably give you much more details. Anyway, we are publishing detailed delivery information. There is a blog post that Joe, who is sitting behind there, wrote, where we will be giving updates 3 times a week. So you will see specifically how many phones have been produced already, how many phones have made it out of the factory, how many phones we have in the warehouse, and you will be getting a lot of updates on that. So we keep it very transparent. So all the information that we have, we give to you. Of course, things go as planned now, but always things can happen. Delays can happen, but the plan is that those phones will be delivered within January. So more questions. This time is from John Hyham from YouTube. The question is, do you think third parties will start to make components for Fairphone 2? For example, a wireless charging case. That's very much in line of what we would like to do. So as you know, Fairphone 2 has an expansion port behind. Maybe I'll show this. Looks a bit more whole. It has an expansion port here. You can also see on our website. That expansion port, we've still didn't publicize it like a lot, because we know that there is a lot of documentation that needs to come to be able to open it up for other companies to develop products that are compatible with this expansion port. So that more information will come very soon. But I think that those smart cases, you can think. You can think about NFC payments, you can think of wireless charging, you can think of many things that can be implemented in something like this, something that is not very big and can connect to the expansion port. We expect that companies will start developing that. We've had some contacts already with some companies, but nothing definitive yet. So when the information is there, we'll provide you with that information. So next question is from Guillaume Ruiz. Sorry for my pronunciation. What are the improvements on Fairphone 2 regarding electronic waste and recycling materials? Okay, I'll start by saying that we know much more from Fairphone 2 than we knew from Fairphone 1 in terms of hardware, in terms of where it comes from and how it's made. So actually, some of my colleagues here, Laura is just about to leave the office, but she's still here. She's very busy with, together with Maria, tracking all the materials and tracking suppliers, sometimes up to third tier. So that really means really kind of deep in the supply chain. And sometimes, as you know already, all the way to the mine. So that just as an introduction to say that we know much more. Among the things that we know more than Fairphone 1 is, for instance, some recycled content of the materials that we are using. So just to give you an example, the PCB, so the printed circuit board, so let's say the thing that makes your phone work, I would say, which is developed in collaboration with AT&S, with one of our partners, a printed circuit board manufacturer. We know already, for instance, that they use 35% of the copper they use is from recycled sources. And I look like to the side to see if I have copper here, but I don't have copper. So that information, we are also compiling it now. We have a beginning of publishing that information, which is in one of our project pages, where you can see certain tier of suppliers and the components that we get from those suppliers and where they are located in the world. This was like kind of a first approach to transparency. Now we are really compiling a lot of information and finding what is the best way to display this information, where these kind of questions will be also answered. Okay, so more questions. Question from HTheB61 in YouTube. Miguel, are you guys officially going to support Selfish OS on Fairphone 2? It really depends what we mean by supporting. I guess it means that our customer support would also support any bugs or problems that may arise from the Selfish OS build. That's not the plan to start with. So as I said, that's a matter of scalability of what we can provide. Now we are launching Fairphone 2 with Android 5.1, and that's what we will be supporting on our customer support. We think that all these communities do give a lot of support on their own channels, so I'm pretty sure that if there are questions or difficulties, the answer can be found in those communities, but it won't be officially supported as in that our customer support will know everything about Selfish OS, at least for this beginning phase. Of course, everything that I say today can be revisited in the future, so that will also depend on how many users are using Selfish OS and how the relationship with the guys from Selfish OS goes. But as a matter of fact, for now, will not be supported by our customer support, but it will be there very soon, I hope. More questions with a nice nickname, Dubst from YouTube. He says, I would like to see what the current Android version on the Fairphone is like. What things have Fairphone put into it that's special to the Fairphone? Okay, we know that we haven't been showing a lot about it. I think it has to do also with all these other things that we need to communicate. I know that we have in the pipeline a blog coming talking much more about what we have done with the software. I could show you here in the screen, but it doesn't make sense because we are very far. But you will be able to see a lot of what we've done. Actually, as you use it, it really feels like Android 5.1. You know, like I wouldn't say any of the features that we have implemented. It's definitely not there forever, so you can remove them. So most of them are widgets, for instance, which you can easily just remove. We still have the edge swipe, which we also had with Fairphone 1, which is a menu that you can trigger when you swipe from the side of the screens to get to your most used apps. So that will be there as well. But as I said, because we are going to make it able to, we are going to release the build environment, and other ROMs you will be able to update to other ROMs on our device. Anything that you don't like, you will be able to, of course. More questions. Maybe just to finish up on that question, I'll give a couple of hints of what we have done. So what we try to do with the features that we have implemented is to try to two things mainly. One is to surface what is important. So smartphones now are devices that get cluttered really easily. So for instance, one thing that we have implemented is an easy way to see the apps that you use the least. So you can decide, well, hey, I'm not using that app a lot, maybe I should just uninstall it. So that's a way to remind you that you can declutter your device. Other things that we have implemented are widgets to surface your most used contacts and your most used apps as well, which will be close to the home panel. There are two widgets that are on the sides, but as I said, it's a widget, so you can also remove it. Another thing which excites us a lot is the privacy impact app. It's a feature more than an app, I would say, which is a feature that analyzes the impact that a certain app will have on your privacy, looking at the permissions that you have to give to that app. So that's also a way to put that information more up front, so to make you more aware about the possible risks to your privacy. As I say, again, you can always ignore it, of course. It will only pop up the first time that you execute one of the apps that you have installed, and you won't see it again after if you decide to go over that privacy impact warning, I would say. And other details that, as I said, there will be much more information in this blog post that is coming. So let's go to the next question. John from YouTube, he's asking, do you ever dream of developing a Fairpad? Well, I think that's you know, I wouldn't even say only a Fairpad. Is the eternal question in Fairphone is like, okay, do we stick to a smartphone, or do we develop other products as well? I think that I can say safely that we'll stick to smartphone for quite some long time. We need to kind of choose our battles, I would say, and as long for now, developing a smartphone allows us to do all our projects on social and environmental performance in the supply chain. So I don't think there's a Fairpad coming anytime soon, but who knows? You can never say never. Oh, and Double Dubs also asks about Fair laptops. So I would say the same. Remember, we are a team of 45 people, working with a lot of other people that work for us externally as well, but there is so much capacity that we can have. So next question from Monello Leona from YouTube. Will it once be possible to update the Fairphone 1 and 2, for instance, to a better camera? That's also a very good question. So it's difficult to say for sure. What is true now about Fairphone 2 is that it has been developed for repairability. So the modules that are there have been developed so that it's easier to change for a new same module, let's say, that can be purchased in our website. That being said, there are some possibilities of pursuing certain upgradability, so not for the whole system, that we will be researching in the next months, of course. But for now, I would say, you know, I've been using my prototype for a while. Camera is good and enough for what we have to do now. So it's not sure, but we will be looking into that possibility as well. So next questions, and I also get a reminder that we have 15 more minutes, so send your questions really fast. Benjamin Stone Lee from YouTube, he's asking, I saw on the internet that Fairphones are coming to Spain. That's true? Well, I would say it is true. We are available all over Europe for now, and all the European Union countries and some countries in Europe outside of the European Union. So that's Spain, definitely, of course. So if you order, you'll get it as soon as it gets to our warehouse and it's sent to you. Liberty, in North Korea, Calgary, how can people in Canada and the US get a Fairphone? I haven't been able to find a way yet. That's because we only sell in Europe for now, so we don't have plans in the short term to move overseas. That will require a new, let's say, operational chapter for our organization. But we'll get there at some point, and then you will be able to get a phone to you. The only way you would be able to get a Fairphone now would be just that a friend of you orders it in Europe. But as I said, take some caution here. It's a phone that is for being sold in Europe. It works all over the world, not necessarily all the bands and all the frequencies, but you will have a good working phone all over the world. But the support is really for Europe. So more questions. Harald in YouTube, How many Fairphones are sold now? I think we are just over 23,000 now. So we expect that as we start delivering, that people get really interested, and we increase that amount. We've also been. I was going to say something, but I see that is related to the next question, so I'll just keep it for a second. Andreas Heiner on YouTube, he's asking, are you going to produce a downgraded version to make it more affordable? 525 euros is quite a bit. Again, it's not in the short-term plan. What we are trying to do is to make that 525 euros easier to pay. So for instance, this week we've also launched payment in installments only for Germany now for the next month, more or less. So that you will be able to pay it in monthly fees. That's thanks to one of our partners, Klarna. In this case, it's a company that provides with this service, which of course charges as well an interest rate for it. Mark Turo from YouTube. If you do a Fairphone 3 in less than 2 years, how much modules will be compatible with the Fairphone 2? That's a very difficult question that I cannot answer now. I would say, as we have a roadmap, we'll probably be publishing it, so you will be very informed about it. For now, we really want to concentrate on Fairphone 2 and to make this phone really a great success in terms of longevity. So we expect that that you can use this Fairphone 2 for a very long time. So I think it's kind of time to wrap up. So we're going to take a couple more questions. Peter Morris is asking, I missed the answer to the question about sustainability and ethical improvements since Fairphone 1. Can someone summarize? I think I can summarize. For us, it's not necessarily just linked to the release of a phone. So of course, because that's what we do, and that's why we started all this adventure with Fairphone, becoming part of the system as a company to find all these projects that can tackle some of the social and environmental problems out there in the industry, in the manufacturing of consumer electronics. But to be very specific on the product, if you want, Fairphone 2, for instance, is a more repairable phone. Actually, our friends at iFixit gave us a 7 for Fairphone 1 and have given us a 10 for Fairphone 2, which is the first time ever in history that iFixit gives a 10 to a phone. So that says a lot already on how easy it is to repair. When you design a phone that is easier to repair, actually, as a consequence, is also easier to disassemble or dismantle when eventually it gets to the end of life. So that's also, I would say, more sustainable. So in Fairphone 2, there's less glue, there's less screws, it's easier to separate it in recycling streams, I would say. Of course, that being said, the longevity of the phone itself, it's also an important one. Actually, when we did our life cycle assessment for Fairphone 1, you can go back in our blog and read about it. We already talked about different scenarios to move Fairphone to a more circular model, what it would happen if we have a phone that is increased in lifetime, where the parts are easy to replace and it's easy to maintain. And actually, back then, if you compare with a baseline scenario of, let's say, a regular smartphone with a 2-year use, we already predicted around 45% reduction of CO2 emissions in the whole life cycle of the phone. So that's including production, but also the use phase of the phone. So you can see that that's already a great improvement of Fairphone 2. Still needs to be proven that that's real, of course, but we've put the hardware, we've made the product design there to make that possible. More things, Fairphone 2, I would say, because we have done the design of the phone, of the architecture, is really ours. So it has been developed by Fairphone and our partners, so the whole IP is ours. We know much more about how the phone is built, what suppliers are used, and where materials and components come from, and that was also, I was saying in the beginning, that would be kind of the next phase that we have on transparency of the supply chain. So we are really doing a lot of work, hard work in getting all the information from, I'm not only talking about, let's say, first tier supplier, which is normally what you have with the parties that you have a direct relationship with, but I'm talking also about second tier and third tier, and sometimes all the way to the mine, so that it gives us a traceability that is much higher that we had with Fairphone 1, which was a license design. So that transparency is definitely, that traceability, I would say, is definitely the first step that we have, that we are taking in order to change stuff that is not working as we would like to see it. This is not a work that stops now when we launch the product, of course. You know, like this is an ongoing process. As you can imagine, I think we have now in the bill of materials of Fairphone 2, we have something like 500 different components from around different companies. So these relationships will develop as we go, and as we also, for instance, increase the scale of phones that we sell. That will give us also, again, a bit more power in the supply chain. So I think that was it. I don't have more questions. So I'll just like to finish saying that you can keep on asking questions on our forum, of course. You can keep on using We Are Fairphone as a hashtag. That's a hashtag we use all the time, and we'll be back to you as soon as possible. As we say bye, I'll be putting our phone in one piece again. I'll just finish saying that I hope you enjoyed it. That I think by the faces of my friends here, they also enjoyed it really much. They're silent, but like cheering their arms up. I would say be critical with us also. So tell us what you think about this format. Tell us, be honest, and say if this would be a format that you would like to get more information about Fairphone, not only about the product like today, but also about the organization or other stuff that you are interested in. I think in the future we'll be really selecting some topics and doing a bit more in-depth webinars about them. We can pull other colleagues from here that know much more about other topics. Remember Fairphone 2, of course, this is the part of the marketing. Remember Fairphone 2 is available on the website. If you order now, you will get it within February, probably. After we have delivered all the pre-sales phones. As I said, like, remember that if you live in Germany, you can now pay with installments, which should make it easier also to make that investment. I think that is a long-term investment also. We hope that that you keep the phone as long as possible. Also remember that you can always, as a European consumer, you also have 14 days to think if you did the right choice. And if you decide to give back Fairphone 2, no questions will be asked. So that's the law protects you in this case, and so you can make sure that when you make a purchase online, you did the right, you took the right decision. So you have 14 days to do that. And yeah, so I hope we convinced you a bit more to help us in our journey to more fair electronics. Thank you, and see you in the next webinar. Bye.